What a period we had over Christmas to witness as we look ahead to Cheltenham. This is the road to Cheltenham. It's episode 6, but it's the biggest one yet because we're going to go through what we saw over the last couple of weeks over Christmas. There is so much to talk about. Frankie and Joel alongside me. Don't forget, subscribe and like this show. We'll let you know whenever there's a new one out. You can listen to us on Spotify. There's a lot to discuss. There's lots to hear. Let's get stuck into it. Frankie, how was your Christmas on the racing front?
It was good. I painfully watched a Christmas special acca go down by one horse, which did dent my Christmas spirit a little bit. Corbett's Cross getting beat. But bar that, I really enjoyed it. And I thought that lots of horses that we hoped would do what they would came good and put in a strong performance. The highlight for me was Galopin Des Champs. So good. 20 plus lengths between himself and a really good field. And I suppose if you pair that up with Brave Man's Game running well in the King George, I think that we can now say that Gold Cup form last year was actually quite decent. So I think that put a marker down for a lot of the Gold Cup horses. And I really enjoyed King George Day, really enjoyed the racing in Ireland. Irish Point was another standout. Very, very impressive and good to watch. What he beat, who knows? We'll probably speak about that. But yeah, lots of good performances. I say I did all right. What I thought might run well did in the end, for the most part, bar Corbett's Cross.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Join us next week. Thanks for covering everything. Joel, I know you went to Cheltenham on New Year's Day. How was that? And of course, how much did you enjoy the Christmas action?
I loved it. I loved all the Christmas action. There was lots of it, wasn't there? There was lots and lots of it. At Cheltenham, I had a decent price double. It was Butch, and I can't remember what the other one was. And then, of course, you're getting into the spirit, gambling responsibly. And I thought, tell you what, this Marie's rock. This is the day. This is the day. Sean Bowen, brilliant, riding out of his skin. And he did ride out of his skin, but unfortunately, also wasn't good enough. So roll on to Cheltenham, Dublin Racing Festival coming up. And of course, yesterday at Naas, really enjoyed the coverage yesterday. It was brilliant.
Yeah, we get to see that on Friday. We're going to have more clues then. But there's only one place to start. Frankie's already mentioned it at length. Joel, Galopin Des Champs. I think we're going to have a split opinion here on this show. Galopin Des Champs is now 11-10 to retain his title at Cheltenham after a 22-length romp over Christmas. What did you make of it?
I thought it was so impressive. It's untrue, as pretty much everybody did. You know, if it goes on the day, if it stays fit and the ground's not heavy, or whatever, it's going to go off 1 to 3 or something. The only one you can see get close to it is Fast or Slow, that has been asleep for the last few months. Shishkin, I mean, going through them all, I now am on the Frankie train. I just think this wins well. There's nothing else in that caliber, and nothing coming from left field. I mean, there's no people back in Hewick, caused the upset, the surprise in the King George, which I'm convinced Shishkin would have won. But no, it's a really boring start. But if you're starting your little multiples now, Galopin Des Champs just looks, even better than back to his best.
See, I'm not convinced. I know he won by 22 lengths, but Jerry Colombe didn't really turn up. Capodanno was third, for heaven's sake. Plenty of them didn't show the form. Fast or Slow didn't run. Like you say, he's sleeping in his box. And I kind of think, okay, back to something like his Gold Cup form. He's entitled to win like that. Is he as good as he was last year? I think he's far too short for me. But I know, Frankie, you're going to agree with him. But obviously, Jerry Colombe disappointed out to 9-1, but I expect he'll be better. Fast or Slow still got to come into it. I saw people tipping up Corrit Rambler as well, which made a really interesting case for him. He wasn't knocked about in the Betfair when only beating 15 lengths, and obviously Spring and Cheltenham is his time. So there's still a lot of in there. And Gary Moore was talking up Nassalam, Frankie. Are you having a couple of quid saving for that?
Nassalam, if he wins the Gold Cup and we missed him in a Class 2 handicap at Chepstow for a mark of 141 after tracking his entire previous 12 months, backed him for the Ultima last year, put him up every single handicap since, and then missed him at Chepstow, and then obviously won the Welsh National. If he wins, I won't know what to do. I don't think he will win. He's a really strong traveller, and if it's heavy ground, it will suit him. But probably something more like a Betfred chase than a Gold Cup. When I picture a Gold Cup, I'm thinking Galloping de Champs, Brave Man's Game, Ping in the last. You've got to have a bit more class than just pure kind of grit and staying ability, don't you? So don't think Nassalam's in there. You would just, don't get me wrong, I thought Galloping de Champs was super impressive, and I think he's the most likely winner, whether I back him or not at the price. To give you a bit more of an argument, Matt, and side with you almost, the only previous Gold Cup horses in that race were Applutard, who's not the same horse, and Conflated, who was pulled up. You did mention, and everything else in behind Jerry Colomb, but wasn't the strongest field, was it? So I'm not really going on form in terms of what he's beat, just how he looked and how he travels. If it's soft ground, I think it's his to lose. Good ground, maybe Hewitt. Give him a chance. And Shishkin, the old rogue, Nico said he was just getting going. He thinks he was just getting going in the King George. So you'd have to give an each way shout to him.
That's the interesting one. That's what I'm going to come on to next. Obviously, yes, Hewitt won a King George, but we'll never know whether it would have been Shishkin. How unlucky was he stumbling after the second last? But you mentioned them two winging the last. If Shishkin's there winging the last, does he get up the hill over an extra 3.25 mile, Joel?
Yeah, I'm absolutely convinced Shishkin would have won. Absolutely convinced. I know Hewitt was flying at the death, but what I must have watched it back 50, 60 times. Absolutely convinced. And I'm not talking from my pocket, because I did have a little few quid on Shishkin. But no, I mean, James Bowen wouldn't have fallen off. So let's hope he gets a ride in the Gold Cup.
Can you see him sticking out though up the hill at Cheltenham?
Yeah, 100%. Nico said, like, you know, in all seriousness, Nico said he was just getting going, and the other horses were coming towards him, and I think he'll go. He would fly. I really, but the only thing is the jumping and the temperament and whatever. You've got to be a brave man, not Brave Man's Game, but you've got to be a brave man to be taking that. But you're gonna get some entertainment for your money, aren't you? That's what you're gonna get, entertainment for your money.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think I might have put in WhatsApp group, you know, Shishkin either hacks up or gets pulled up and retired. And none of those happened. Nico slipped off. So I'm convinced Shishkin would have won the Gold Cup, the King George.
You said that about stage on New Year's Day when we pulled up. He was pulled up. You got that one off right. Right. So obviously, yeah, there's loads of opinions and contention about the Gold Cup. Still all up in the air. Obviously, these boys very much in the Galloping des Champs camp. I'm still reserving judgment. But what we will all agree on, and this will take about 30 seconds, is Constitution Hill beat Stateman about 10 lengths in the Champion Hurdle. We will move on to the Mayor's Hurdle 40 minutes later. Frankie.
Yeah, Constitution Hill goes and wins. That's about all there is to say. I've got two clips actually, stood in the same spot at Kempton, just following him, and he looks exactly the same. He's not breaking a sweat. The commentary went at Kempton. It was coming in and out. So in the just over the final hurdle and the final furlong, the commentary had pretty much gone, and with no commentary and a crowd just kind of watching him, it looked even more like a racecourse gallop. He's just trotting on by, easy as you like. Yeah, goes and wins, doesn't he? State Man second.
Joel, same forecast as last year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, if it's obvious and everybody's gone over this a million times, if Constitution Hill had gone over fences and State Man wins the Champion Hurdle for the next 5 years, I don't know. Is this not becoming really boring? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, good horse. You know, last year I was there, wanted to see it. This year I'm going to see the same again. What you don't want to see a horse fall. You don't want you want to put on a show, but at the same time, are we just going to see this every year, run a couple of times, and that's it? And that's for me not exciting for Cheltenham.
It's amazing that they're not interested in a champion chase. It's all about the Gold Cup, and they're not sure if he'll stay. So I'm guessing is it hurdles forever then?
Well, yeah, I presume
Probably.
so. Yeah, I presume so. That great name for a horse. Hurdles forever.
Well, that was pretty much more simple, the Gold Cup, wasn't it, in the terms of the Champion Hurdle? What about the Stayers Hurdle? Irish Point threw his hat and threw very impressive, of course. One of the Grade 1 novice at Aintree last year. Irish Point 9-2 now for the Stayers. I know you're a big fan of the French horse, though, Joel.
Yeah, there's more pronunciations of this one this week. Teleme. You don't pronounce the H, I was told. Now, the French people that have been watching reckon this horse is better than Barracuda. They were saying that it doesn't need to go around Cheltenham, doesn't need to look at a regulation fence. And in the first, was it the World Hurdle when Barracuda was first around? Yeah, World Hurdle. Had never done the same. Doesn't need the run. Will come there, and the French are just saying this will hack up. This will hack up, and it's the same people who are talking about your other French horse at Kempton and under James Reevely. So I looked at that. Irish Point will get his ground. I watched it back, that 11th win over Asterion Falange and Ballyadam. I can't believe he's only 9. And in that race, Home by the Lee, which was one of my first anti-posts. We'll just scrub that one, yeah. He looked like Goshen, didn't he? I don't know. Just no. So we've got a line through Home by the Lee. Crambo for me, it has improved, but he's a handicapper, isn't he? Beat Paisley Park, who's 12. Dashel Drescher, 11. Champ, who's 12. Not doing a lot for me. So just looking back at these replays of Delamere, if he's as good as I think they are, I'm all over that. And because he's French, we're getting a bigger price.
Yeah, you mentioned Barracuda. He won despite Thierry Duman, so I'll go call this.
Yeah.
Frankie, what did you make of Irish Point?
Very good. And at the time, you're getting pretty excited about it. But when you do have a look at the field, Home by the Lee was probably the best of the rest and just didn't run his race. And then you've got steering for long, a bit like Joel's mate, Mellon. Ballyadam. It wasn't the strongest field, was it? And I think Irish Point, because he's got quite a good cruise speed and travels well, probably was made to look a little bit better than he is. And then you kind of add on the connections comments about Teahupoo still sort of seeming like number 1 for the stayers. I'd still be with Teahupoo over the pair of them. Irish Point was really good, but seems like Teahupoo's number 1, and his form with Imperi Pass and the fact that he was 3rd in the race last year, I think gives him a very good chance. For me, it's Teahupoo or Tell Me. I always kind of I don't write off the French, but I try to find a winner that I know a little bit more about. But doubts have been put in my mind since the Ile Francais romp at Kempton. You just think, oh, if there's another,
do you think they run
that's
both?
as good.
Do you think both run both Teahupoo and Irish Point? Robco?
They could, yeah, they could. There's no reason why not. Teahupoo has the better form, in my opinion, with the horses that he's beaten and the races that he's running, and he's come 3rd in it last year, so he is my pick. But that just seeing the French come over and win like they did at King, I know it's a completely different race and different horse and trained by different people, but you just think, oh, when they know they've got a good one and they come with it, then worth taking notes.
What do you make of Crambo winning at Crimbo? You like Joel just beating some old stages and needs to improve again, which he will obviously do.
Yeah, I think so. Fair play. Proved us all wrong because we couldn't have him on the day, could we? But I don't think he's a Cheltenham Festival Stayers Hurdle winner. Good performance, is improving, but you've got to be doing better than beating Paisley Park by a short head. No disrespect to Paisley Park, but he's not as good as he once was, and there's better horses coming through, isn't there? So, yeah, I wouldn't really give him too much of a chance, but it's proved us wrong once.
Let's just wrap up the championship races then. Obviously, you're over Galloping des Champs, Constitution Hill as well. The stages are both like the French just tell me. Just want to mention the Rhinos, one we haven't touched on, but obviously, I know you like Allaho, Frankie, who ran well for a long way in the King George. The way they finished, Hewitt finished, it suggests they went a very good gallop in the King George with Frodon, and obviously he was pressed all the way by Allaho and Shishkin. And you think dropping back 2.5 mile, he's the one to beat there?
I think so, yeah. Drop back and triple suit him. Back going left-handed as well. He jumps slightly left, doesn't he? Which didn't suit him around Kempton. He ran a very good race for only his 2nd start after that long layoff. I think it was a good race. And really, if you're looking at the horses that finished in that race, Shishkin, obviously Hewitt in there as well, Brave Man's Game in there. I think they're better than your stage star. I don't think you could throw him into a race like that. Because, you had the Brown Advisory, the Royal Wacker winner in there, and he was 8 lengths off in the end. So I think Allaho's form just from the King George, if he repeats that sort of form, but back to a track and a trip and a race that he's won before, I don't think there's that much else. Maybe Envoy Allen, last year's winner, but only just got the better of a real ropey, I don't know if ropey's the right word, but a rogue Shishkin on the day, didn't he? So I just think the question was, is he as good as he once was? Maybe he's not quite as good, but I think he's good enough to go and win the Ryanair. It's his race to lose, in my opinion.
Right, let's have a look at the novice hurdles. We had loads over the festive period, and I want to touch on the one we saw at Newbury on Shallow Hurdle Day, which is probably one of the lowest key ones. But I know you're a big fan of Jericho de Repenay, Frankie. You've seen this in the flesh working. He gave us a heads up. He's won both starts since. So I'm going to speak to you about him, and then I'm going to bring Joel in on that race as well. And we both quite like one as that we finished behind, which I did say at the time. But Jericho de Repenay, Frankie, still a big fan?
Yeah, I think so. My only worry is he one of those kind of stylish looking horses that isn't actually that tough? He travels so well when he's asked to quicken, he does it all pretty stylishly, but you never know, do you, until the Supreme, because he's not going to get tested. He's done everything that you'd want him to do. He looks good. I like the way that he finishes his races. And if there is actually a plus to take out of, not being tested, if you look at how he gets over his hurdles, he is pretty efficient. So that was another plus. I thought he actually looks quite polished for a horse that's only had a couple of starts and is a novice hurdler. So yeah, he's going the right way. If you backed him at a decent price, then you're definitely not getting put off by his 2 runs. Just not going mental about him, but he's got to be in with a chance, hasn't he?
And Joel, I mean, you're talking of looks, probably one of the most recognisable horses in training could become, couldn't he? Secret Squirrel. He looks bizarre. He's brown with like a blonde mane and tail. And you weren't overly impressed with the ride he was given, but I think this horse has got lots of talent. If it's not to be the Supreme, I think I'm decent around. I think he's going to be a major player in the top 2 mile contest at Aintree.
Yeah, 100%. And always looking for value, and it's a bit of fun if you're having your fiver each way. If you look at the Jericho Repre thing, I mean, I was visually impressed, and I'm not one of those time anoraks, who puts them on screen and looks about how slow it was. But all the anoraks are saying how slow this horse is compared to other races. It's not my bag, and I don't, but I was visually impressed and saying that a marker 132 is too low. So Secret Squirrel was second in that previous race, 100-1. David Bass, who I'm a big fan of, probably given him too much to do. I mean, if they've thought that Jericho de Repenay is an aeroplane, and we're just having a little go today, but he was. He was given too much to do and was staying on. And the prices, one's 5-1 and one's 100-1. And there was only a few lengths between them. One looks visually impressive, but the anoraks don't like him. The other one, and I know, Matt, you were really big on Secret Squirrel, and you say he's very recognisable, hence the name, because he looks like a squirrel. 100-1, if he goes in Supreme Novice, fiver each way, you can afford to do your dough at this point.
I think he's a really nice horse going forward. And even if you look at maybe a handicap or something like that, he's definitely a horse to keep on side because that Kempton win, he tanked through it and still had loads left at the end. So I had a little bit on him to beat Jericho de Repenay, and I wasn't totally disgraced either. So yeah, I think he's a horse to keep on side whatever happens. 100-1 for the Supreme. He is worth a couple of quid, especially, as I say, if it does cut up, which it can do at times. What about Caldwell Potter? I mean, he won by 6 lengths in the Grade 1, and yet he's still available at 12-1, Joel.
Yeah, have you seen the set the ground though? If you watched it back, I mean, that was proper heavy, wasn't it? 6.5 length win, proper heavy at 12-1. It might be there for you, but doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. On when you start getting ground that bad, with the rain and whatever coming our way, you don't know what you're going to get at Cheltenham now. But it's got to be proper heavy to see that horse. I think 6.5 lengths on that dirty ground is not a bet for me for 12.
What about you, Frank?
It's for me.
Alibert is for you.
No. It's for me.
Oh, it's for the horse.
What's for you? What's for what? Hold on, Potter. It's for you.
To me, to you.
No.
To me, to you.
It's for me. It's for me. Is for me. Maybe. Beat Caldwell Potter, and was 5th in both the champion bumper at Cheltenham and Punchestown when racing a bit freely. Don't know why we haven't seen him again since, or what the plan is with him. It doesn't hold any entries at the moment, I don't think. But lots of winners are coming out of that Cheltenham bumper, and if you're a horse that's a bit novice-y and a bit free going, and you can get your act together over hurdles, I think he's got a bit of speed about him. So I'd be with him over Caldwell Potter anyway.
What about Ballyburn? I mean, did he just do what he was supposed to do at the price?
I think so, yeah. And we're still waiting to see Firefox. I was suggesting Firefox for the Supreme, wasn't I? Not the Ballymore. But yeah, Ballyburn's short, given that, in my opinion, that Firefox I think, beat him quite comfortably. We're yet to see Firefox at 2.5. We're supposed to run, I think, in the fog, wasn't he, at Nice? But for me, again, out of those two, I've seen one beat the other, and there's nothing to suggest that the form would be reversed for me.
What about the one at Aintree, the Grade 1, the Form B? First ever run, obviously the old toll list. Django Bay got the better of favour and fortune there. I mean, did we need Farron and Glory to stand up to see how that form looks like, Joel?
No, I don't think so. I was pretty much impressed. Two length win, and got into a battle at the end, didn't it, with the Alan King horse. Getting battered into as well. I was really impressed, and I think as well, and it might be controversial, it might not be. And I alluded to it earlier on. I think James Bowen, I mean, I'm not dropping bombs here, is absolutely fantastic. And this little stint on Nico's been out, I think he's been fantastic, and so him at Cheltenham as well. I think rode a double on New Year's Day, but he's one of those ones, and I know a lot of the National Hunt boys are like this as well. He stayed and signed every kid's program, took photos with everybody. I know that doesn't help him winning, but he just seems like an all-rounded nice guy who can talk, and he's one hell of a horseman. Wish Nico the best for coming back, but I think he's ridden some of these horses with absolute finesse, and it's been brilliant and always in the right place, apart from Marie's Rock. Pig.
Let's just talk about the Challow then, because Captain Teague won that. They were a bit on top of each other at the finish. He's 16-1 for the Ballymore. Is that show A, maybe the strength of form of those in behind, or is it B, a case of the Irish expected to dominate this one, Joel?
Irish expected to dominate, and secondly, the last race was the target, wasn't it? And I think I said the only horse I can not see can't see winning this is Captain Teague, who went on to win and battled for it. That will have been the target. But then it was the Pauling horse back in third that we put up about 25s on the day. He was coming into a bit of form, isn't he, as well? What was it called?
Jukebox Man.
Yeah, Jukebox Man. It was only beaten length or something like that. I think Captain Teague, for both reasons, I think that was the target, and secondly, the Irish just come over and blow us up.
It's not the first time Paul Nick has had the Challow winner and not gone on to win the Ballymore, Frankie, but you're looking at collateral form lines, aren't you?
I am, but on what you just said, I got to bore everyone to death, but I did start having a look at why Paul Nicholls keeps winning the Challow and does nothing in the Ballymore. I suppose horses for courses and trainers for races, but last four of the Challow, Hermes Allen was 6th in the Ballymore, but probably would be a Grade 1 winner over fences if it wasn't for Relay Fonse. Stage Star, winner of the Challow, pulled up in the Ballymore, but then won the Turners over fences. Brave Man's Game won the Challow 3rd in the Ballymore, missed his novice race at Cheltenham because of ground, but nearly won a Gold Cup. So Captain Teague will do nothing in the Ballymore, but we'll back him for the 2025 Turners. I don't think Nichols has ever won a Ballymore, has he? But he always wins the Challow, so I wouldn't be having Captain Teague for the Ballymore. But they always turn into great chasers. So the Turners 2025, it's on for Captain Teague. But yeah, you said, looking at the collateral form lines, Manila Missile, who beat Captain Teague at Cheltenham over, obviously the course and the trip for the Ballymore near enough. And I think did it well. I know Captain Teague carried a £5 penalty, but I still think Manila Missile, a horse that's won its point, won its first start over hurdles, gone straight to Cheltenham and beat a very good horse, Paul Nicholls, did it well, quickened up the hill, 50-1 for the Ballymore, I think is great value. And probably because, no disrespect, I don't make the prices, but because who trains it, and obviously we haven't seen too much of him. It was a bit of a surprise, they said, that he went and won at Cheltenham that day, but these are young horses, they all improve, and the course and distance form against a solid enough field, and the way he went up the hill, I don't think he should be 50-1.
Interesting. Yeah, I was taken with that. I remember watching him at Chepstow, and I thought it was fairly decent form as well. And good surprise on that occasion at 22-1. What about Johnny Who finishing 4th? I know Joel's going to laugh and take the mick, but he kind of hit a flat spot and then flew home again. Hang
on a second. Who rides him?
Frankie.
Good performance, good staying performance. Newbury's a very fair track, isn't it? And I was quite testing conditions, which probably adds to a stayer's kind of ability. But 3 decent horses that finished in front of him. Captain Teague and second horse Look Away both came from. Captain Teague was 3rd in the Champion Bump. You need a bit of speed in that. Look Away came out of a Great Wood. You need a bit of speed in that. So these are horses that all kind of could get over the last. I know it was tough conditions to slow them down a bit, but they could quicken over the last, and they did, and they pulled a little bit away from God, mine's gone blank. Remind me, Matt. Johnny Hugh. They pulled away from Johnny Hugh a few lengths, and then he did claw it back. He was finishing, and you put an extra few furlongs on the end. Yeah, if that sort of form holds up, you know, that we've just spoken about, intertwining kind of form lines. If that does hold up, then Johnny Hugh over a little bit further looks a contender, really.
Yeah, Albert Bartlett is a target, and that's what they say. So yeah, I'm with him for that, certainly, Joel. Anyway, we'll move on. Novice chase chat, shall we, Joel? Because I know what you're going to say. We're going to start with you, aren't we? Marine National. He was rubbish over hurdles, you said. What about his chasing debut?
Oh, horrendous. Jumps like, we can't say that one. I was again really impressed. I think we mentioned on the Punter's Guide, I think it was, talking about each one of our babies, our school kids, performed really well. You've got Marine National, I've got Gaelic Warrior, and Frankie's got Constitution Hill. You know, just so impressed. What was the biggest price he was at any point? Is it like tens or something like that?
11 to 4? Oh, last year maybe, yeah.
Yeah, was, you know, right at the start. But what we now, even money territory.
Well, we're 4 to 5, and I mean, as much as I like him, and obviously did us a favour last year, I couldn't entertain him at 4 to 5 for an Arkle at this point at all, Frankie.
All right, have you priced up one in here, which I just made notes of Le Baron for Gary Moore, the front running one?
Yeah, the only link for it.
Yeah,
talk amongst yourselves. I'll find one.
Okay, no, I've got that in the book here. I've not backed it. 33 to 1. Jamie might be backed by Cheltenham as well. You know, just for a value play, and I'm still missing out with Facile Vega. Does that go into the? Because you can't, right? Facile Vega is Willie's favourite horse, right? It's my favourite. So we're doing anything to get Facile Vega to win. And if you're looking at somewhere between 8 and 10, and something happens to Marine National, I don't want to see him get injured or whatever, but something happens, are we not looking round at 10 to 1 and just going, right, how did we not see that? A couple of bad runs, bad ride, whatever. Facile Vegas. What?
No,
I'm not. I think Mullins is going to give up with him. Well, he's not going to give up with him, but he's slowly going to become his second favourite child or something else, I think. I like Founder 50 if you're trying to find some value. Would be unbeaten over fences if it wasn't for going to 2.5 miles behind a good stayer Iron Maximus, and just probably kind of out-toughed in the final stages over 2.5. But over 2 miles, he's been really good and jumped really well. I think it's been a lot better over fences than he was over hurdles, even though he's still decent enough over hurdles. But if I was trying to find an each-way player, I think Founder 50's a fair shout at double figures. 10 to 1.
I'd say Marine National's most likely, we're granted, but I can't take 4 to 5, 10 weeks out. Not a chance for me.
Well, did you find my Gary Moore horse then? Are you giving me?
Sorry, yes, 33. Sorry, 33.
Yeah, 33s. Apparently, this is the target, and I love sitting on a 33 to 1 shot. And it might fall out the back of the telly, but that, like you say, I mean, Marine National will go off 1 to 2 on the day or whatever. If Facile Vega goes somewhere else, it'll be even shorter. So yeah, just Le Patron at 33 is just more for a bit of fun and a bit of interest. If you're not interested in Marine National, I can't believe you've jumped off the Marine train.
Well, it's just the value grounds, isn't it? Everything has its price, and 4 to 5. I don't want to back a 4 to 5 shot 10 weeks out. I probably won't back it at 4 to 5. I might back it 4 to 5 on the day, seeing what turns up. I won't be much shorter, but we'll flip it around and say 5 to 4 now for Gaelic Warrior. He won the Faheen Novice Chase, caused a bit of a hoodoo in the Mullins family, Joel, because he can't go left-handed. He has to go right-handed. Paddy left a gap on his right hand because he jumps right-handed, and that won't work at Cheltenham. 5 to 4, no thank you.
5 to 4 is outstanding value still. This is I mean, look. This is the beauty of this show, because you cut it down the middle and people are going, I'll be laying that all day. Oh, hello. How much can I lay this for? But I think it's just the best horse in a race by a mile. Forget the jumping. But you go back to the Mullins and Mullins situation, the Danny and Paddy thing, and it's probably been done to death. I love it because it's entertainment. it's entertainment. But then you see what happened at Nace in the first race on Sunday, the only race in the fog, and you go, hang on, Brandy Love's 1-4, 1-3, or whatever it was, and the second string of Mullins, hacks up, and you go, like that. Now, I'm not suggesting any skullduggery at this point. It's the same as when a JP second string beats the first string, or an Aidan O'Brien second string beats the first string, or whatever. It just was bad timing, I think. But for entertainment, I think they were both right and they were both wrong. You know what I mean? It could have stayed in the weighing room, but I love stuff like that. It makes it a little bit more exciting for me, and I was absolutely blown away by the performance once again.
Thank you. What's your take on it?
On the little row, I agree with what Joel just said. They're both right and they're both wrong. You've got every reason to say, don't come up my inside, this horse jumps right. But you've also got every entitlement to come and have a go at the inside because you're trying to win the race. So they're probably both right. Probably, yeah, could have had an argument not just crossing the winning post. But hey-ho, it's good entertainment. And why not? If they want to have it out. In terms of the performance, well, me and Joel got carried away, didn't we, in our little WhatsApp chat? We said, wow, that won't be beaten by anything. That's it's frustrating. You just want this horse not to jump to its right, because the way that it jumps, bar the direction, is so efficient, so neat and tidy, travels so well. And if it did that going straight, and it could do that going around Cheltenham, it would have a lot of horses in trouble in behind. Because if a horse gets into a good rhythm on the front and you start to miss a few at Cheltenham, it's game over, isn't it? So if they go, can a horse be trained out of that? Can they get it just good enough? Can it win even if it jumps right? Maybe, yeah. Short now, probably too short given that. So if I'm trying to look elsewhere, Blood Destiny, who was disappointing at the festival last year, but over fences, hasn't beaten anything. But if you look at the way that horse jumped, it gained about a length every fence. So if there is a horse that could go with a strong pace and can jump straight or left-handed, and potentially has the talent to be in the mix, if I was trying to find another play, Blood Destiny would be it. But I do still think Gaelic Warrior wins. Just you'd want to have backed him before that race.
Without being able to make the course right-handed, because Willie Mullins is available to sorts of, £5 Can we possibly go right-handed? Could Danny Mullins not get a ride and just sit on the outside?
Pushing him in all the time.
Yeah, push him in. I mean, you see it in flat racing. Let's be honest.
The lanes you have when you go 10-pin bowling.
That's me. You put the little things up at the side. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to stop that happening, is there? Nothing to stop that happening.
Well, there's nothing to stop. I know that other jockeys can ride the race they want, but there's nothing to stop just trying to sandwich him in a little bit.
The Grade 1 Gold Cup at Fairyhouse, Irish Grand National Weekend, Easter weekend, tailor-made for him, 2.5 mile, right-handed. He'll have that all day.
Did you say he might not go? Did I make that up, or did you say I don't know?
Yeah, he might not go. He might not go to the festival. I don't think I'd back him. I wouldn't back him non-runner, no bet, especially at the price, because they might decide against it.
So therefore, what price is Facile Vega on the day?
Might go to the Arkle.
See, I'm playing the Willie Mullins bingo already here. I've lost the will to live, and I'm falling back on.
Tell you what, we'll move on, because I thought the most impressive. I'll take out LA France over here. One of the most impressive performance, certainly in Ireland, was another Willie Mullins novice, Grange Clear West. That really impressed me. There were some nice horses in there, some very good Grade 1 novices, and he battered them. And I know, obviously, it was quite dear for you, Frankie.
Yeah, Corbett's Cross was given a patient ride, watching mostly just Corbett's Cross the whole way around, going, come on, here we go. Come on. And I thought Corbett's Cross was given a great ride and given every chance to go and win the race, and came upside Grange Clare West. And one horse did actually stay. That was the one I backed. But the horse that did more than stay, the horse that didn't have to come off the bridle, just kept cantering, was Grange Clare West. He did. He made a good field look ordinary, and it wasn't because he was tougher or anything like that. It was because his engine was big enough, and he just kept on galloping. So it left me scratching my head a bit, that race, because you kind of say, if he does that again, then what the hell can come and have a go? Because I thought that race made sense of a lot of things at the festival in terms of the right horses were in there, and he battered them.
So, Joel, for Grange Clare West, what did you make of it?
Really, really impressed. I felt for Frankie as well because I know he was like waiting on the last Corbett's cross. He was waiting on that, and you know, part of you is going, "Oh, if he wins a few quid here, it's the obvious acca, the mugs acca as you called it," and didn't happen. And same with Frankie as well, just wasn't good enough. Grange Clare West for me was outstanding. Another outstanding horse, the other side of the sea.
I was tempted to put this in my anti-post portfolio, but again, it's probably on the short side. Probably won't go off much shorter, so I thought I'd maybe go something a bit big. I'll give you that shortly.
Just to play devil's advocate, if we're not all going mad about the favourite, I was banging on about Nichol's Challow winners that come back and win over fences. Hermes Allen, have we forgotten about him because how good Le Francais was? He actually ran a decent race. He jumps a fence really well. He stays 3 miles. He actually ran quite a nice race. There was just a monster in front of him. He's not a bad price to back each way, I don't think, in the Brown Advisory.
Could he come back to 2.5 for the Turners?
Yeah. Either or, yeah. Turner, yeah, either the 2.5 or the 3 miler. He does jump really well. And he's a decent horse. He's a grade 1 horse.
That's the novice chases done. I just want to touch about the Triumph hurdle. Burdett Road we didn't see. He was pulled out at Chepstow because of the ground. Salva, very impressive. But again, ground could be dictated. But we did see some nice performances from Sergino and Storm Heart, one on either side of the Irish Sea, Joel.
Yeah, Storm Heart for me. I had this down as is it New Year's Eve? That's was it 22 lengths? Storm Heart for Mullins. Mightily impressed with that. I mean, I had it down as a 2-horse race, this one, and I know it's quite hard at this stage, but I was all over Burdett Road until I saw Storm Heart. So I got it down to those. So I've backed both of them. You know, I missed the silly prices, but the win over the other side of Irish Sea for Mullins. I mean, we keep coming back to Mullins every time, but with the both in the book now. And what's the mare in there with the allowance? Is it Cargese, whatever it's called? I think I quite like that one as a third choice.
Which is that?
Yeah, Cargese.
Cargese. No, where's that one? It was about 12 or something like that. We'll get the allowance.
14s you can get, Joel.
Okay. And I did hear on the grapevine that Mighty Bandit, who's gone out to about 25s, if they protect the mark of this one, should hack up in the Fred Winter. It was Boxing Day, wasn't it? 13-8 it went off and was beaten 10 lengths. I think it was 9th or 10th or something like that in the race, and just was never going. I think the vet said afterwards that he had a snotty nose or something, scoped badly, or no, I know what it was, a nasal discharge, which sounds like a snotty nose or something. But yeah, apparently Fred Winter, or what it's called now, the Boodles Juvenile, Mighty Bandit there. But as far as we go back to Triumph, I'm all over Storm Heart at the minute. Massively impressed.
Right, there we go then. I'm sure the races were missed, but can't go on forever after what happened over Christmas. It's an incredible period. Of course, the next big day will be Trials Day at Cheltenham, followed by the Dublin Racing Festival. Plenty more festival clues to come. Also, Warwick and Haydock. Warwick and Kempton this weekend. We'll have a few ideas as well, certainly in the Midlands. Right. From now on to Cheltenham, we're going to put up an anti-post bet every single week. Joel, what are you going for here?
Constitution Hill to win by more than half a length. No, they get no's in my look. Again, all about the value, so that covers me backside. Supreme Novices, Hurdle, Secret Squirrel, 100-1, second to Jericho de Repere, who is about 5-1 or something like that. So Secret Squirrel, get it in the book each way, top 3 places, 100-1. I'll have, please.
Yeah, it could sort of say he's a certainly nice sort. I think Aintree met with his agenda as well. Speed Track will certainly suit him more.
You stop saying this. It's not the Aintree.
Look, I think he's a really nice horse, and I'm sure even if there's a decent handicap in it, but he could sneak in a place maybe in the Supreme if it cuts up. I agree. I really like him as a horse. I'll be keeping him on side. Frankie, what's your first anti-post portfolio pick for 2024?
Well, we've got the winner of the Supreme from Joel and the 50-1 winner of the Ballymore from me. With Manila Missile, who I mentioned earlier, who beat Captain Teague at Cheltenham over 2 miles, 5 on only his second start. He's won everything he's done so far. He's trained by not the big guns, so you get a better price, and gave Connections their 100th winner. So there's got to be a little bit of sentiment there to say, come on, let's go and have a crack at the Ballymore, not try and save him for something else because he might not be good enough. So I reckon he'll turn up. Obviously, loads won't go. He'll be shorter than that on the day, and he's already done it round Cheltenham, so he's in with a chance.
It'd be a massive price. What price?
50s.
Oh,
There's the double.
getting the old bullseye. He'll win in the
There's
old
the double.
title.
Right, I'm going to mute Joel's mic.
For your selection.
Yes, if I can. And I'm going to go with Johnny Who in the Albert Bartlett after running on fourth in the Cheltenham. There he goes. He's off. Yeah, he's fed up. No, seriously, it was a run that was full of promises. It was only his second start over hurdles, third racecourse appearance, and stayed on really well to just nearly got third as well. A couple of takes another 100 yards. He'd have probably been challenging for the lead. So yeah, Johnny Who in the Albert Bartlett 14-1. Secret Scroll for Joel 100-1 and the Supreme. He's back in the room, and 50-1 Frankie with Manila Missile, who's already won over track and trip. Right, I'm sure there's something we missed. Anything else that I have missed that we can think about? Obviously, Leo France sadly isn't going to Cheltenham, but boy, that was impressive. Anything else we missed out that caught your eye that we can make a case for?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, do you want champion bumper?
Well, Jalon Dudery caught my eye. What about you?
Yeah, very much so. Not in the book. Have a look for Kishbank of Gordon Elliott's. It was 25-1. I think it was last week. It might be about 16s now. 39th winner on in a point-to-point. And then went on to win by 3/4 of a length at Punchestown. You need to watch the race because he was staying on. He was staying on, and he was doing a lot, and there's a lot left in the tank. Just one, for a bit of fun. I don't know what price he is now, but Kishbank of Elliott's for the champion bumper. And the award for already, 8-9 days into January, does Ride of the Year go to Joe Anderson?
Very much so. That was sensational yesterday. Sensational stuff to have that recovery and still go on, not just to recover from not hitting the ground, but then to come out and win was, ride of the season after 8 days already. Ride of the year.
I tell you what, though, I've never ridden without stirrups, but that's going to have to work your sack, isn't it? It's going to work your sack.
That does not look comfortable.
Yeah.
I think he was singing in the choir last night, that's for sure. And he did a good old rub down. It wouldn't have been too bad, really, would it? Right. Join us Friday. We're going to look into Warwick and Haydock, our first punters guide of the year after we lost Sandown last weekend. And there'll be some festival clues as well at those two venues. So don't forget, like and subscribe. You'll get to hear about the punters guide every Friday, the road to Cheltenham every Monday, and you can take us everywhere you go now and listen to us on Spotify. Cheers, boys, for joining us. Thanks for watching or listening wherever you are. Join us Friday for another bumper punters guide action.